challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hello and welcome to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez, and today we're taking your calls for 2 hours at 1-800-229-3000. Clinical psychologist Dr. Jill Hubbard will be answering your questions, and so will licensed marriage and family therapist J.J. West. We would love to talk to you about whatever it is you're going through. If you're mourning the death of a loved one, or you're grieving the loss of a broken relationship or a job, or maybe you're just in some kind of a funk and you just need help getting out of it. Well, take that step of faith. Give us a call at 1-800-229-3000, and we'll see if Jill and JJ can get you on that path to wellness. JJ, good morning or good afternoon. How are you doing today? What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. Yes, good morning to you. Good afternoon to me.
Yes.
On the opposite coast here. You know, it's so interesting how the Lord works things out, because in your open, you talked about if you're grieving a loved one, and that's actually what's been on my mind here lately in the month of May. So it's my mother's birthday and, of course, Mother's Day. My mother passed away 2.5 years ago. And so this time of year is a time when I expect some grieving to happen.
Yeah.
I expect some time of reflection and remembering and missing her and those sorts of things. And sometimes grief shows up that way as this, expectation. You can plan ahead for it on those birthdays, anniversaries of the death, those sorts of things. But sometimes grief shows up in a surprise, like an unexpected visitor. And I've used this analogy before, but I want to maybe dig a little bit deeper today, in that for most of us, when grief shows up unexpected, we treat it very much like an unexpected guest at our house. Someone knocks on the door and we go ducking behind the couch, we turn off all the lights, and we hope that the person will go away as quickly as possible.
I thought I was the only one that did that.
Right. No, I think that's fairly universal, at least in our culture. But what's interesting in other places in the world, in the Middle East, for instance, if an unexpected guest shows up and they knock on the door, the regular response is to welcome them. Oh, I had no idea you were coming. I'm so glad you're here. Please come in. Let me make you some tea. Mm-hmm. And my argument would be that if we would practice that kind of welcome when grief shows up unexpected, what typically will happen is grief will come in and will sit with us and have some tea, right? And have, some conversation. We'll interact for a little while. And then usually what happens is, grief will say, well, this has been lovely. Thank you for having me. I'm going to go now. And then we'll return at some later time. Mm-hmm. But when we practice the American, keep them at the door, hide behind the couch, turn off all the lights, grief just stays there knocking at the door. And it becomes interruptive, if I can make up a word. It becomes interruptive and disruptive in our lives. And so what we want to do is learn to practice welcoming grief in, even when it shows up unexpectedly. And sometimes that just means letting the tears run. Sometimes that means letting your heart feel the loss. Sometimes that means celebrating some of the joys that person brought into your life.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with grief today, we would love for you to call.
Yeah, because it could mean even calling us and talking to us for, one of the next 2 hours here. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. And what a way of looking at things, JJ, because when it comes to grief, nobody likes to grieve, but to hear those words from you, it's like, just invite grief to have some tea with you and just, spend a little bit of time. And very, very good words to start us off today on New Life Live.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop, even though we've read books or attended a few other marriage weekends. This was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to intimacy in marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy in Marriage workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy in Marriage weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
NewLife.com has hundreds of articles covering a variety of mental health issues, not just for Mental Health Awareness Month, but anytime. These resources have been created to help you learn and thrive, and you can find them under the Resources tab at newlife.com. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us today if you've got a question for us. But there's other ways that you can get your question for us, because we know that you may not be able to call when we're here in the studio, so we've set up a voicemail line and also an email address, and you can find out those details at newlife.com/radio. And here's one of those emails that was sent in. It's from Veronica, who says, should I talk to our granddaughter if we suspect something might have happened in the past that was inappropriate? Our daughter's first husband was physically and emotionally abusive to her. He is our granddaughter's biological father. He left when our granddaughter was 2 years old. He doesn't have visiting privileges with her. Our daughter is now remarried, and her new husband is very affectionate with our granddaughter and buys her lots of presents, but he is not so affectionate with our daughter, his wife. Our granddaughter now has become moody and quiet since she started her period. Would a young woman remember if she was abused either emotionally or sexually at the age of 2? Or could this new son-in-law be showering her with more than just presents? And should we as grandparents talk to our granddaughter about a possible inappropriate situation? Dr. Jill Hubbard, what would you say to Veronica?
Wow, Veronica, this is a tricky situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, first of all, if she has broached it at all with her daughter. I mean, that would be the place to start. It would be inappropriate for her to question the granddaughter, I think, without first including the mother. And probably she has concerns. And when you have concerns like that, okay, could you be wrong? Absolutely. But you could also be right. And again, it's very delicate. So probably easiest to ask mom if maybe she suspects anything with biological dad, right? And start there. Mm-hmm. And I think that is going to be harder for the granddaughter to remember things prior to 2 years old.
Yeah.
But certainly if you're seeing these mood changes, and one, it goes along with where her cycle is at. But if you're seeing things, might be good to just say, could we explore this? Could we maybe do some therapy with daughter? Mm-hmm. And you start with what's on the surface, and then you let the other emerge as you move forth in the therapy.
JJ, any thoughts from you?
Great advice, Jill. Of course, I agree with you that you start with the mom. Mm-hmm. You start with, hey, here are my concerns. Have you had any conversations with her? How do you feel about us talking with her about this? I think that's where you start for sure. And you recognize that right now, this is all hypothesis at best, right? There's no direct evidence. There's no direct link. I mean, certainly any teenager starts to get moody, but certainly a teenager who's just started her menstrual cycle, there's a likely chance that has a contributing factor as well. So we want to be open and asking questions rather than supposing hypotheses are true. So you want to start with things like, hey, I've noticed that you have been more moody or irritable, or it's been harder to have conversations with you. And I'm just wondering what's going on. Are you aware? And at some point to be able to say, I want you to know that if there's ever been anything that's happened to you, if you've ever been experienced either inappropriate touch or talk, if you've just felt uncomfortable, I want you to know that you are always able to come and talk to us. Like, we're available to talk to you. You want to start it there rather than just coming in going, hey, I think maybe you were abused at 2 and you don't remember it. And so let's take you to counseling and make you read these books. And like, we want to start with just some questions and beginning the dialogue.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And thank you for putting the specifics to it, JJ, because you want to create an environment that says we can talk about anything. And so you don't just go for the main thing that you're digging for, because that doesn't really work. But you start by having multiple conversations, just about all kinds of things. How does she feel about all kinds of things, right? School and friends and life, and then even reflecting back, on her biological dad. Does she remember anything about him? What's the context of their relationship now?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Veronica, thank you for sending in your question through newlife.com/radio. And now we're going to go to the phones at 1-800-229-3000. And we're going to be taking calls for 2 hours today. Here is Mike, who is listening on KWRD in Dallas, Texas. Hi there, Mike. Thanks for calling in today.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Good. So about 5 years ago, right after COVID, I started getting some scary neurological symptoms. I started getting muscle twitching all over. I was getting nerve pain all throughout the body. And then throughout the years, it's kind of progressed a little bit into some muscle atrophy. And the fear has always been ALS. I spent a lot of time with doctors and getting tests and biopsies. And it just kind of got to the point where I tried to do out of sight, out of mind. But things seem to be getting worse. And I'm not quite sure how to approach it and how to cope with the constant worrying and fear. I don't want to be a burden to my family. And as a man, you obviously want to be a protector and take care of everyone in your life. And the thought of people having to take care of you is very scary. So I've just been trying to, approach things head on and figure out the best way to deal with what's going on and coping with that.
Okay. JJ, any advice from you?
Yeah, Mike, first, I'm sorry that you're suffering. That is hard. It's hard for anyone if they're physically suffering, especially if there's not any clear answers as to why. But as you pointed out, it is scary to think about as a husband or a father, how am I going to take care of my family if I'm incapacitated in some way and I don't want to be a burden? The short answer is that that's not up to you. And God knows your heart, right? God knows that your desire is to care for and protect and provide for your family. But it's not up to you as to whether or not you're going to be able to do that in the ways that you imagined that you would. And I say it that way on purpose because it's important that we recognize there are very different ways that we care for and protect and serve our families. It's not just in going to work and providing, my material necessities. That's part of it. It's not just if I'm big and strong and can, fight off the intruders. It's also in the ways that I emotionally and spiritually take care of my family. And so, we don't know what's going to happen with your body. There may be a decline, and I hope that that's not the case. But if there is a decline, that doesn't mean that you're completely unable to serve and care for your family. You just may have to find some more creative ways to do that. And that's where, it's going to be more obvious in your life, Mike, than maybe you anticipated. Your need to rely on God, your need for the Spirit to strengthen you, because, man, my flesh, if things don't go my way, my flesh goes, nope, this isn't fair. I want out. I want a different script. Give me a different answer. And so I have to. I am desperate for the Spirit to lead and strengthen and guide me when my strength, my abilities, my resources are depleted.
Yeah, I think that, Mike, you really have to ask God to prepare your heart, because it can also become a pride issue. I don't want anyone taking care of me. I've always been the strong one. They're supposed to lean on me. And it's really humbling to have to be in the reverse position. But to not allow your family to care for you during a time of illness is not serving them well. Because if you met your vows of for better or worse, this is part of it. And so often there is a role reversal towards, illnesses or later in life. Mike, I'm also wondering if you've been formally diagnosed, or this is just a mounting fear that you have, or if there's history in the family of this. Oh, go ahead.
So my grandmother, she had passed away from it.
Okay.
And when all of these symptoms had popped up, that was obviously the first thing that neurologist had kind of mentioned. I had a EMG test that came back that showed demyelination, and I had a biopsy that showed atrophic fibers and nuclear bags. But because I'm in my 30s, and it's not common. It's everyone saying, well, let's just kind of wait and see. And I do think that if I were to go back now to those doctors, I think that the test would show more. But the other part of me says that I probably lasted for the last 5 years because there's always that hope of, hey, it could be something else. But between us, I put my life on hold. I bought an engagement ring a year ago that just kind of sits in my safe because I didn't want her to have to go through that long term if that's what the issue is. And I have made the decision that when I get back home, I'm going to give her that ring and stop living in that fear. Mm-hmm. But it's been tough.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were that young. Yeah, really, really tough. I think, to your point of maybe because you've held out hope, it's something else. Okay, that's true on the one hand, but what I'm hearing is there's this in the background, there's always this anxious, fearful noise that's happening because of staying vague. Sometimes, Mike, we have to be proactive and prepare. And so information can help, ease some of the anxiety of not knowing. And two, if you have someone that wants to be with you, it's like informed consent here. It's like, here I am, here's the package. Are you willing? Right? Like letting her fully know. And that can be hard and scary, but then moving forward, she's really on board, and you guys talk through what could be the potential issues here. But also, as you're leaning in and kind of embracing it and being proactive, then, there's a chance to maybe do some alternative treatments and things that you might otherwise have avoided.
Right.
That could be hopeful.
And the suffering of your potential spouse is not an automatic reason to say no to joining your lives together. I had a colleague who, just this brilliant, beautiful soul who I don't know if it was congenital or if it just showed up in like teenage years, but she had a heart condition and a number of other maladies as well. And she ended up marrying her husband while she was sick. He married her. And they went through, I want to say they were married for like 3 or 4 years before she died. And they had one child. And, he would not undo that. Yes, of course, there's pain. Of course, there's suffering. Of course, he would rather spend the rest of his life with her. But he would not give up the time that he spent with her in order to avoid the pain of losing her. And so you want to give your fiance that, or your potential fiance that option, just like Jill said, full consent, full informed consent to say, here's the diagnosis. This is the probable outcome. Do you want to sign up for this? And let her make that choice.
Now, she's already aware of a lot of this, right, Mike?
Yes, sir. She's been with me through this entire journey. And I guess the strangest and scariest part about all of it also is that she has some of the muscle twitching that I started out with. So then there's the concern of what her future is, but I know that she wants to be together either way. So.
Wow. Well, thank you for calling in today, Mike. We're going to send you a resource from the newlife.com store. Can you guys think anything off the top of your head? If not, we'll send something during the break. We'll think about it. We'll put our heads together and we'll consider. But we're taking calls for 2 hours today, and we would love to talk to you. Dr. Jill Hubbard and JJ West are here. 1-800-229-3000 is our number. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and share and subscribe and call in with your questions at 800-229-3000.
Early on, looking at pornography that went into affairs, massage parlors, strip clubs with buddies. Before you know it, you're ashamed of that.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
My wife got a phone call, and she asked me who this person was, and man, how do I get myself out of this one?
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle intensive.
When she said to me, I want you to look at this website named Every Man's Battle, she had me look, and I said, no, this is exactly where I need to be. This is exactly the problems I have, and I'm gonna go.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Denver, Colorado, June 6th through the 8th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Use the discount code NLL to save $50. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Hey, Mike, thank you for holding. We're going to send you a copy of Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas for calling in to New Life Live today. Speaking of marriage, we've got another intimacy and marriage weekend starting July 25th in Washington, D.C. JJ West, who's on the program with us today, is one of the co-presenters at these intensives. So he hears positive comments like this all the time. But for the rest of us, check this out. God used New Life to help us navigate a moment in our marriage that could have turned out very differently. Learning a new way to communicate and developing empathy for one another changed the course of our marriage. Your support makes everything New Life does possible, including weekends like Intimacy and Marriage, where couples find redemption for their relationship instead of giving up on it. We're in the middle of a $500,000 matching gift challenge. Thank you to everyone who has given towards the campaign, and if you haven't, there's still time to double the impact of your gift. Here's how. Call 800-NEW-LIFE. Text the word match to 28950 or give online at newlife.com. Yes, your help helps us help other people. It's all about help here at newlife.com, and we love doing it. Thank you for joining us in this endeavor. Back to the phones now. Here is Betty, who's watching us on DirecTV, the NRB network, channel 378. Hi there, Betty in Indiana. Welcome to New Life Live.
Thank you.
How can we help you today?
Well, I've been sick for a real long time, and I've had people pray for me, and I've just had different things wrong with me. And I started having, there's demonic activity in my house. Sometimes it wakes me up, and then other times it started to attack me physically. And I plead the blood of Jesus over me, and I also I anoint my doors, my windows, and it just keeps coming back. The attacks, I don't know if it's going to physically attack me or not. It's while I'm sleeping, and I just knock something off of me, and then it's gone. But it like tried to bite my neck in the jugular vein. It scratched me, and it had something in my mouth, and it pulled on my mouth, and it scratched my jaw.
So Betty, is this the excuse me, is this the first time this has happened, or has this been going on for a long time?
It's been going on for a long time.
Okay. And Betty,
at first I was having nightmares, and I would fall off the bed and stuff like that. And,
so let me ask you a couple of questions, Betty. So first of all, can you tell me your age?
I'm 77.
77. Okay. And you said you've been sick for a long time. How many years would you say you've been sick?
Well, I've been down with my back for probably at least 10 years.
Okay.
With my back, I've had different problems with it. I have sciatic nerve problems. I don't have diabetes or anything like that.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. I don't have... Go ahead.
So a couple different things. One, is there anything that... a lot of times there's stuff that has happened to us earlier in life. And in the third portion of life, the latter third, we come back around full circle a lot of times, and things will come up that during the years where we're raising our kids and we're working and we're busy, it kind of recedes to the background. But when there's more time and space, things that are unresolved often come up. So that's one thing I want you to think about. And certainly, when things come up that maybe were scary earlier in life, it's one of the things that the enemy does use to stir up the fear. And it may be just the feelings that are similar that are happening to you right now. Another thing that we find with a lot of people and what you're describing, so it could be the enemy, but if you have been on medication or different medications, this often happens for people where they have experiences in certain types of illnesses and certain types of medication where it can feel like a literal physical attack, seeing things.
Well, I don't.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't hardly take any type of medication because I have allergies real bad.
Okay.
And so I'm real allergic to medicine. I don't take any kind of pain thing.
Okay.
I've never.
Even for your sciatica?
Right. I put the heating pad on or ice pack on.
Okay.
And I work through it, try to. And, but I don't, the only thing with my heart is I have a heart murmur, which I've had since I was 30, so that's the only physical thing as far.
Well, you had said you'd been sick. Yeah,
well, what happened was I had an infection in my teeth. My teeth started breaking one by one, and I've lost a lot of my teeth.
Which can be an indication of overall health. It often comes out in one's teeth. So there could be a lot of other things going on.
Betty, can I ask a quick question before we go to break?
Sure.
Are you confined to your bed or house, or are you able to get out?
I'm able to go, but since everything went down with COVID, I stay home most of the time. Every now and then I go somewhere, but most of the time I don't leave the house.
Okay, Betty, stay on. Go ahead, really quick.
I didn't get the COVID. My husband had it, but I never got it. I never took the shot. And I never.
Okay.
We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back with your question and everyone else who calls in, 1-800-229-3000.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because, you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch, listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
And let's go back to Betty in Indiana. Thank you so much for calling in, Betty. And we asked you right before the break if you were homebound or what the situation is.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, Betty, can I follow up on that with you?
Yes, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you're not completely homebound, but it does sound like you are mostly home because of the illnesses and then the post-COVID world. Right. I do think it's going to be really important that if you're not going out, say, to church or Bible study or small group, that you're staying in touch with your friends from church and asking them to come sit with you, pray with you, pray for you. Sorry, what's that?
I do go to church. I do go to church when I'm able, when I'm not in severe pain. I go.
Yeah, good. I'm so glad that you're doing that. But even when you're in severe pain, I still want you to invite your church family to come and stay with you, to pray with and for you, to pray over the house. We see in Scripture sometimes we pray and there's an immediate response. There's an immediate healing, cure, dispensing of the demonic activity. But there's other times where we pray and nothing happens, and we pray and nothing that we can see happens, and we pray and nothing that we can see happens. And we have to pray several times before we actually see the response. And I think that happens more so with demonic activity, at least what I see in Scripture, is that there are things happening in the heavenly realms when we're praying that we're not aware of, but we have to continue to pray until we see that deliverance. And so that's why I think it's really going to be important that it's not just you, and it's not just your friends apart from you praying for you, but that they're actually coming and praying with you and praying over the house to see that freedom happen, because we don't want to see you continue to suffer.
No. And Betty, is your husband still with you?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
He's younger than me.
Okay. So you do have him
he does everything
in the house.
Well, he's retired, but he works. He works part-time.
Okay. And
he works 4 days a week.
Does he also experience what you're experiencing? Okay.
No, he doesn't.
Okay. And how does he handle it with you?
We talk about it. Sometimes he makes a joke about it, and he says, I just have to fight through it because he said he has things coming at him, and he knows it's the devil. He just has to fight through it, and that's what he tells me to do. I did.
Of course, it's harder to fight through it when you're asleep, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but what you can do, I think it can be helpful to pray as you're going to bed. God, please redeem my sleep, redeem my dreams, and be that shield around me while I'm sleeping, because obviously I don't have all of my faculties while I'm sleeping.
Right, but also the things we think about during the daytime, and like you said, JJ, before we go to sleep, often will show up in our dreams. So your husband's idea of fighting it, and look at how your dreams progress from you being passive to are you actually fighting it in your dreams. So you want to, kind of tell your brain, that you need to fight against it. And to rebuke it.
Henderson, but with his group, I did a Courts of Heaven thing. We did it like 3 times with his group, but I still was seeing demonic stuff. That didn't take it.
Okay, and like I said at the beginning, Betty, sometimes we need to reflect on our life. And is there anything that has been unresolved that might give, in a sense, the devil a foothold in our lives? Yeah. So that would be important to do.
I was thinking Dave Stoops' book. Is it Finishing Strong? Am I remembering the title correctly?
I know. Living Well, Finishing Strong, or
Living Strong, Finishing Well.
Yeah. Living Strong, Close. Finishing Well.
All together, we can come up with the title.
Yes, I know. It's always those 4 words. Which order are they in?
So I would think that would be a great resource for you, Betty, as you're in these final years of your life. Like, okay, God, I want to make the most of whatever time I have left, even if it's with a body that is in decline. Like I want my soul to prosper, right? I want to live in such a way that I am still helping to build your kingdom, no matter what's happening to my body and what's happening spiritually, right? So I would encourage you to, if we can send that book, I think.
Well, interestingly, that was Dave's last book, and he wrote it while he had Parkinson's, and his body was declining. So
Living Strong, Finishing Well from the newlife.com store. That's what we're going to send you, Betty. Thanks for calling in today here on New Life Live. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. And now we've got Mandy in Texas listening on Sirius XM channel 131. Hello, Mandy.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my call. And just a note on the previous caller, Psalms 4:8 says that if we can lay down and sleep in peace, for we are in safety. And I would just encourage her to pray that every night, Psalms 4:8.
Great.
My son is 26. He's been married for about 6 years. And about 2 months ago, there is a child involved. She's 4. They informed me that she is in an open relationship with another man. He's not, but she is. And I don't believe he's okay with it. He does know about it, and he's tolerating it. But they live very close to me, and I'm struggling. So when this first came out, my husband and I went and had a conversation with them and told them that we love them both and that we don't think this is God's plan for them, because that's not what marriage is about, and that we encourage them to reconcile and to put that guy away. The guy showed up at Easter at their house, and like I said, they live next door to us. So it's very difficult for me. I'm treating them as if they're sinners, but I know that my son has been saved since he was about 9. And and I talk with him about it, but I'm trying to be very loving. And so my question is, how do I set good boundaries and still show them love and not get resentment towards her in my heart? Because I honestly believe that she deceived him when they got married, because she said she was a Christian. And when they got married, there was joy and love there. I think this guy coming in has really changed things, and I feel like my son feels like he's stuck because she takes care of the baby all day, and I don't know how to help him, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions from you guys for Mandy?
Well,
yeah, Mandy, did you say he or she takes care of the wife, or your son takes care of the baby all day?
So my son works, and like I said, this man showed up at Easter. He had lost his job. He lived in Florida and lost his job and came to stay with him for
staying with your son and daughter-in-law?
Yes, and his wife and their baby. And I said, when is he going back to work? I've been nice, but I've also been encourage him, Josh, you can't just,
Yeah,
I feel like the purse strings is a good way for him to maybe put his foot down and say, look, this can't happen anymore.
Well,
but
Mandy,
I don't know if he's got the courage to do it.
I know,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm hearing, is that he's afraid, and so he's allowing it to happen. But I think his fear and passivity are not going to keep it from happening, right? It's like sometimes we shut down and thinking, well, if I just get really small, maybe nothing more bad will happen, but it just allows it to flourish. And so I think it would be important for you to maybe encourage your son to get into some therapy so that he can have someone walk through this with him and teach him how do we set some boundaries in this marriage that says this is what works for me and this doesn't work for me. And if you're not on board, then let's do a designed kind of separation with some parameters.
JJ, we're coming up to a break. Do you have a question for Mandy that she can think about while we're on break?
I don't have a question, but I do think that if we could get boundaries to them, I think her son reading through boundaries would be a helpful step in the direction of him beginning to see his own strength and not just keep getting smaller.
Okay, Mandy, stay on hold. Thanks for calling in today. We'll send you a copy of Boundaries from the newlife.com store.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And let's go back to Mandy in Dallas, Texas, listening on Sirius XM channel 131. You still with us, Mandy?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I do have another question. So I feel a little bit spiritually conflicted about them living on the property. When we did allow them to move in over there and put a house on our property, we did tell them that we get to choose who lives next to us and that we didn't want anybody to just move in. And so there was that understanding. He did leave today to go back to Florida, but he took the wife and the child with him.
What?
I do not know how long they're going to be gone, and so I'm anxious, and I'm trying to just give it to God. And
well, Mandy, so
emotionally for myself,
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a very sad situation. I'm sad for your son and for you and for that little girl. I'm not sure what is going on with your daughter-in-law that she's acting out in this way, but there's issues that she has, that this is how she's now dealing with them. It's really not okay that she took this little girl to go be with this other man. And I think you're right. You get to choose who lives on the property if that's the deal. And so you could certainly say to daughter-in-law, we're not comfortable with this open marriage arrangement happening on our property. And even, maybe, I don't know how good of a relationship you have with her, but I would even try to draw her out and ask her what is going on inside of you that makes you want to risk your family. And then for your son, he immediately needs to get in to work with someone and look into legally his rights as a dad.
Yes. Agreed.
So get some legal advice here.
Yeah, she can't legally just take their child to another state.
Well, I guess, at this moment, he gives his consent. Well, he lets her go. And I said, well, do you know how long they're going to be gone? And he's like, maybe a week, maybe. He doesn't know. He doesn't have an idea. I said, well, how are they going to get back? They're driving his vehicle, and I don't know. It's just complicated, and I want to be there for him, but I want to encourage him to do what's right and to preserve his family.
Well, and so he needs to fight a little bit, because a fighter, a man who fights for his family, is attractive. If he has no aggressive energy at all, then she's even picking a loser without a job to be with. Right? So what's missing in their relationship? Why is he so passive in this?
I was a single parent, and he didn't have a dad in his life until he was about 10. I remarried, and but he didn't. My husband now didn't. He didn't know how to be a dad at that moment. He'd never had kids, and so it was a little challenging. There was a love-hate relationship there. I think part of that is what's driving him is that he doesn't want his child to grow up without him. And maybe a self-esteem issue, that maybe he feels like he's not going to find anybody else. I don't know.
Well, it's fear.
Right. And there's a great line there's a kid. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. When we confronted them a couple of months ago, and we did have a sit-down conversation without this man present, and told them how we felt and that we loved them, and yet we still don't believe this is God's plan for them. I even looked at her and I said, you would not accept this if it was your little sister. You wouldn't accept it if it were me going out on my husband. You wouldn't accept it for your mother. So I don't understand why you think it's okay for you. And she didn't have a good answer, of course. I think it's just a selfishness, and they have had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of rocks, and they've come to us and asked us about divorce early on, a couple of years, and we just encouraged them to stay married at that point because we didn't know this was in the mix. And to work through it. It's just, she was also raised by a single parent, so they both grew up without a dad.
Yeah.
There's
JJ?
a lot to unpack. There's a lot to
Yes.
unpack.
JJ, any thoughts from you?
Well,
here?
I was just thinking about, you said like one of his biggest fears is that his daughter would grow up without a dad. He doesn't want that. He wants to make sure that he's in his daughter's life. And there's a line from a kid's movie, Kung Fu Panda, where one of the aged masters says, "The path one takes to avoid one's destiny is often the one on which he finds it." And I think that's going to be the case for your son, is that he's on this path. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that I don't lose my daughter, and that means I'm going to put up with horrible ideas, horrible arrangements, so that I can stay in my daughter's life. And I think there's a good chance he's going to end up losing his relationship with his daughter because of that passivity, because of that unwillingness to say, no, I'm not willing to be in a relationship this way. Obviously, it doesn't mean he has to be angry or hard-lined, but it does mean that he has to set and maintain clear boundaries with his wife so that she understands that she can't just behave however she wants and he's going to put up with it.
Right.
In our small private conversation, I have said that to him. You're the only one that can change this if you're unhappy with it. And I just want to help him somehow.
Right. So help him to get help, to get in with a male therapist, and also to get some legal advice, because he's setting a precedence already of allowing this child to go out of state, and he needs to reverse that. And not, it's like, okay, wife, if you would like to go, fine, but our daughter is staying here. And Mandy, maybe you, if you're able, step in and care for your granddaughter.
That's what I offered last night. I did offer that last night when he came over and told me they were going to Florida today. And she just texted me and said, well, I feel like she is waiting for me to say the wrong thing so she can walk away from me and just have some excuse not to be involved with me. We've had a touchy relationship, but it's been cordial. But she wouldn't allow her to stay with me, because I did offer that last night.
Right, but see, that's where your son needs a little more teeth to say legally you can't take her out of the state. That I'm no longer comfortable with this arrangement, and we're married, this is our daughter, and I'm not giving my consent for her to go out of state with another man.
Mandy, thank you for calling in today to New Life Live. We're going to send you a copy of the Boundaries book, and we're going to be taking calls for another hour. So keep those calls coming. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. We've got JJ West and Dr. Jill Hubbard, who are going to be here answering your questions at 1-800-229-3000. You know, earlier we were talking about the Intimacy and Marriage Intensive that's happening in July. We've also got one for men who are struggling with sexual integrity and for women who have been betrayed by their partner. Now, if you think attending an intensive is financially out of reach for you, that it's not in your budget, give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask about our need-based scholarships. We never want finances to stand in the way of you getting help. So call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out about these scholarships and to sign up or get more information about these intensives. Again, the Intimacy and Marriage, July 25th in Washington. Every Man's Battle, June 6th in Denver. This Friday is the last day to register to get a discount. And then there's the Restore Healing After Betrayal Intensive in November in Washington, D.C. All the details at newlife.com. 1-800-229-3000 is the number. We're going to stay in the studio for another hour. We would love to help you get yourself out of whatever situation that you're in. So give us a call at 1-800-229-3000.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.